Today we're going over how to stage a house in 2025 because let's be honest, when somebody sees a house on Zillow, Realtor.com, or they're touring it, staging it makes it feel like a home, and buyers buy homes, they don't buy houses. So we're gonna be going over a total of 5 or 6 different things that you should do when you go to stage a house to make it more homey. If you are new here, my name is Spencer Lowe. I'm with United Real Estate Louisville. Make sure you click that subscribe button as well as that bell notification so you never miss another market update or a buyer and seller tips video just like this. Now, before we get into the video, I do have a handful of things for you. Down below, you're gonna find my pre-listing checklist, my seller's guide, my buyer's guide, as well as a tool to get your free instant home evaluation estimate to see what your house is worth in today's market. Make sure you jump down there and grab those. They're all completely free. With that being said, let's jump into the video. Now, the first thing we want to focus on is we want to declutter and depersonalize the property. Now, this really helps a buyer see themselves living in that property. We want to take down all the family photos, kids' names on bedroom walls. We want to take down anything that might be just, unique to you. Just because, let's be honest, buyers want to come in and they want to see themselves living there. They want to feel like it's almost like an Airbnb or a hotel where they can just walk in and immediately start living there. So let's go ahead and take down a lot of the family photos, the specific stuff that's really unique to you. We want to make sure that we remove all that. And then the other thing is we want to make sure that we declutter the property. A lot of times, especially countertops, get way too cluttered. We've got a toaster, we've got a coffee pot, we've got a dozen different things on that countertop. Removing some of that, making it more simple, makes a buyer walk in and look at all the space and not necessarily all the personal belongings. So declutter and depersonalize the property. It'll help it look a lot better in pictures as well as show better in person. Now, the second thing we want to focus on is we want to focus on our curb appeal. Now, here's the thing with curb appeal. I know it doesn't necessarily fit in the staging category, but when it comes to our curb appeal, it's really important because it is the buyer's first impressions of that property. With that, we also want to make sure that we stage the curb appeal. Now, staging the curb appeal could be things like flowers and flower boxes. If you got flower boxes on the outside of your windows, could be stuff like potted flowers, welcome mat, different things like maybe even a rocking chair on the front porch. Makes a big difference on the way a buyer feels about that property when they see it in person as well as when they're looking at pictures. Even a fire pit in the backyard can make a buyer feel completely different about a property. So make sure that we stage the outside of the house as well as the inside of the house when we go to stage it. Now, the third thing that we can do when it comes to staging a house is actually add natural light. Now, this could be anything from getting the windows cleaned and opening up the windows. It could also be adding lamps as well as mirrors just to bounce the light around a little bit more. Let's be honest, buyers want to come in and they want to feel like it's a well-lit, open environment that they can live in and it just feels homey. And so adding natural light or adding a lot of light can make a huge difference on the way it shows in person as well as in pictures because the natural light really opens up the space. Now, the fourth thing we're going to focus on is we're going to remove extra furniture, and then we're also going to focus on the flow of the house. Now, when it comes to extra furniture, specifically living rooms and dining rooms typically have a tendency to get overcrowded with furniture. You've got 3 couches and 8 recliners in the living room, and I'm saying that being facetious, but when you look at the house from an unbiased perspective, you're probably going to realize how much extra furniture you actually have in there. Removing some of that makes it look a lot bigger, it shows better, and then it also helps with the flow of the house. When I talk about the flow of the house, what I'm saying is when a buyer comes into that house and they start walking through the house, you've got an open living room and an open kitchen. They're kind of one big room, and you've got a couch in between the two that buyer has to walk around. They're gonna feel like that house is more sectioned off. So removing that couch or sliding it over so that way a buyer can walk straight from the kitchen to the living room makes the flow feel a lot better, and buyers are gonna feel like it's a much more open space that they don't have to walk around and isn't all sectioned off. Now, the fifth thing we want to focus on is we want to add little touches to make it feel more homey. Things like, a fresh bowl of lemons, maybe a fresh bouquet of flowers, different things like that can have a huge impact on the way a buyer feels about the property because they imagine that it's always going to be that way. So adding those little touches makes a big difference on the way a buyer feels about the property. And once again, buyers buy homes, they don't buy houses. So make it feel homey when we go to actually stage it. Adding those little touches to make it feel like a home and not a house makes a big difference on the way your buyer feels about that property. And the sixth thing that we're going to focus on is we want to focus on the actual scent of the house. Now, when it comes to the scent of the house, just throwing out a candle or even just getting some of those plugins can make a big difference on the way a buyer feels about the property because let's be honest, the scent of the house, if it smells homey and feels homey, it's going to be more homey to the buyer. And once again, buyers don't buy houses, they buy homes. So when it comes to the home, we want to make sure that it smells good, it's warm, it's inviting. Maybe a vanilla or a clean linen smell really pulls buyers in and gets them interested in the property because let's be honest, it smells and feels like home. And the last thing that I want to touch on is throw rugs. Now, here's the thing, when it comes to rugs, Typically people have these in their living rooms, and typically it cuts the room in half. So if you've got a rug that goes over half the room, it'll typically cut the room in half, and then it makes the space feel significantly smaller. So you might take up those rugs, show off the house, show off the carpet underneath it, show off the hardwood underneath it. Makes a big difference on the way that the room feels, as well as the buyers feel about the property, because once again, it's gonna make it feel a lot more opened. Now, if you made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate you sticking around. Make sure you give the video a like if you got something out of it. Click that subscribe button, as well as that bell notification, so you never miss another video. And then also make sure you grab this pre-listing checklist I've got down below. It's got a lot of the stuff that we talked about today on it. I've also got my seller's guide, my buyer's guide, as well as that free home evaluation estimate tool down below as well. If you are looking at selling or buying here in Louisville, Kentucky, give me a call. My name is Spencer Lowe. I'm with United Real Estate Louisville, and I'll see you in the next one.